Okay, the big red button's been pushed. Welcome back, everybody. We're freaking back. It's season 2 here at the Natives in America podcast, and it's us natives, me and Sky, kicking it right now. You want to say something, Sky?
What's good? Yeah, what Bob said.
Yeah.
What Benji said.
Yeah.
No, I'm enjoying this Friday.
It's kind of nice, isn't it?
Session, yeah. We usually, like we're just saying, we usually in different circumstances, but it's Friday.
Yeah.
We don't really do Fridays either, so it's a different vibe.
Yeah. What do you think about how we're releasing right now? Like,
I'm fine.
I'm kind of I got used to the release every Wednesday, but now it's just kind of willy nilly for the time being, and it's kind of flexible. It feels flexible.
I mean, I think because we had the material to just keep the Wednesday date, but
yeah,
the live time is whenever we can, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's not a bad way to go. I think we got close to 20 other recordings. I was going through the numbers. I'm pretty sure it's crazy long.
It's weird. It's kind of weird not remembering the conversations that we had, but
I know, right?
Refreshing and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or I don't know what you're saying, or you're not making any sense.
Are you saying in the old conversations you can't hear what we're saying?
No, I'm saying like I get lost in what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to myself to where I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
What is this guy talking about?
So it's almost like we should put a warning in the beginning, like we're not. What we say doesn't apply to nothing. I don't know.
Please don't quote us, yeah.
It's like, this is all under the table. Yeah. Mumble jumble,
Don't quote me anywhere to anyone, please.
Yeah. So.
Don't even quote me to myself, because I'm probably not going to remember it. Man. Who said that?
Could someone do that? Like, quote what you said in the podcast? I mean, I guess they could if they...
Oh, to what?
Like if they're, I don't know, writing a paper or something.
Yeah, this is a public record here. I guess if I ever start holding office or something, there might be constraints here. It might be
yeah. Hey, in episode so-and-so, you said this about...
Yeah, like, really, because I'm pretty sure I was high or drunk that day. I know that.
That was another time.
that was old me. That was season 1, man. What are you talking about? Season 1 don't count, man. We're feeling things out.
But I think that's a segue into what we really came to talk about.
Ooh, you tricky dog, you. I like that. I like how you just did that.
Let's get it going, man.
Okay. Tonight's podcast is going to be about growing old. Or yeah, is that what I text you? Growing old.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
So I'll give you a little background here on why I want to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Unless you were already about to dive into something here.
I want to hear the backstory.
Okay, so last night I went out and partied with one of my former bosses, I guess you'd say, and it was cool, and it was laid back, and what was interesting was he's kind of like I want to say a middle-aged man, I guess. I don't know how you would call it. He's older than me, I think, and but not like a old person like I would consider my parents are old. But he's not an old guy. He's like a middle-aged man. And he had already bought himself into like a condo like a gated community type deal, where he had there's like a golf course, and it's all part of the appeal of the place that he bought. Like, it's pretty big house, you know, high ceilings and all that, and kind of a tiny backyard, but you know, something he can work on. And then he took me for a ride on the golf course for a little bit, and it was kind of blowing my mind. Like, I saw it was like he was an old guy at a younger age, like he was retired. I mean, he's still working, but he had already set himself up with this like thing he can fall back on. And so the weird thing is, a while back, like let's say 2 to 3 years, I was working as a landscaper, and I went up to this place called Saddlebrook.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard of it or seen it?
I recognize the name.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a weird ass place. Like, it's called Saddlebrook, and it's like a retirement community, I guess, is the best way to describe it. You go out there, and there's tons of houses, like in a random ass spot in the middle of the desert. Mm-hmm. And I hear the story is that this one old timer guy, he went out there and he started purchasing some land, just a random old place, like way out there. And then he started getting his buddies to move out there and have them purchase land. And then from there, they just kept kind of getting bigger and bigger. And then basically what happened was they created this retirement community here in Tucson, just outside of Tucson. And they call it Saddlebrook. And it was a trip. Like, we were showing up to work. We get there to, you know, chop trees down, clean up bushes, and like blow the leaves off their patios. And it was a whole bunch of retirees, these older, I want to say mostly white. I saw a few black people out there. I didn't see any Mexican people. It was kind of, I don't know if you ever get that feeling when you're in a different kind of neighborhood and it's just like, ooh, like you feel like you stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, well, it was like that. And what was weird was, like, golf carts was huge. It was like everybody had a golf cart. And, like, they'd be zipping around, some be all drunk as hell, and, like, they're on the golf course, they're going to their friends' houses, like, they're driving all over. You see golf carts everywhere. And so my first exposure to, like, that kind of environment was up in Saddlebrook. It was like, you know, retirement community, and I mean huge. It's taken on this huge life of its own, and it's centered all around this giant golf course that they created. And so that was my first exposure to, like, this older group of people. I bet they had like a age limit to how old you have to be to move out there. Like, it was that type of deal.
Huh.
And then last night, I was chilling at this guy's house, and he's a young, middle-aged man, but he was already living his retirement goal life. Like, he already had the nice house in the community, in the gated community, and he had a golf course and a golf cart. And I kept telling him, you know, it's a little weird. This is a little weird. Like, you're young, but you're living the retired life. And, like, I met his neighbors, and they were all cool dudes. Like, they were all, like, laid back, like, funny dudes. Funny, like, older, funny dudes. And it was interesting, man. Like they were all younger dudes, like middle-aged men, but they were living in, like, a retirement community. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I was telling them, hey, man, good for you. You got your honey pot set up already. Like, you're ahead of the game. And that, like, that's the background. Like, it started making me think, like, you know, my whole moving plan here, like moving out to Covers, is kind of like a point of moving on and trying to change my life, like mix things up. And it's kind of, it's got me thinking, and maybe I was thinking that already, like, about, I don't want to say retirement, but, like, what do I want to do with myself later?
Oh.
Or what am I doing now? Like, what do I have to look forward to? What am I going to do about it? And I'm calling that growing up. Like, you start setting up for the end, setting up your retirement, setting up whatever. You got a 401k, like you're considering the future, knowing you're going to be growing up and getting older.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what the episode is, getting older. Or growing old, So so what do you think?
I think it's a trip. I don't know. I mean, it's like I always say, like, they say young at heart or forever young. I think I always say, like, old soul that's young at heart. Because it's kind of like, I mean, we get old, but, I mean, I'm getting old as I'm older than I was yesterday. Right?
Yeah.
So, it sounds a lot what you're talking about. It's like planning for a time when maybe, I don't know if that's what it is, where you realize you're not able to be young anymore, but it's, I think growing old is accepting the certain limitations, the new limitations of, that point in your life where, like, you worked hard enough and now you can have your retirement or whatever you have planned. Or, I guess, is that a common thing? Is that important? Like, that we have those plans, or is it just kind of like whatever happens? Because, like, what if you don't have a 401k or that type of cash to live in a place like that where someone might not have set aside that money. So getting old in that sense. But I think depending on, because I think my niece is getting older every day, and then, like, I guess I'm going to be older later on, and it's going to be her time to do the stuff I was doing. So I guess it's just like the activities and I guess what you want to be doing when you're at that time, which is, I think, different for everybody because even though my grandma, like, she was my grandma, but she always seemed so young because I got to see her working and stuff. So, like, I guess how well do you, I guess a lot of it depends on how well you take care of yourself, too. I mean, right? Or, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very, I don't know, like, what do you want to do when you get older? Like,
I'm thinking about it. I was thinking whenever I was in Saddlebrook, I was conflicted. Like, part of me was like, wow, these guys did really well for themselves. They bought themselves a nice little patch of land, a nice house. Like, these are all big houses, and you know, they all got like patios and like sitting areas and barbecues, and they're buying all their toys, and like my thinking has always been like, why don't I do the things I want to do now while I can enjoy it? Like, I kind of feel like all those people up there are at an age where, you know, stuff starts falling off, you know, and they're only just now enjoying their lives, you know, enjoying the benefits of working all their life. Like, I can respect it, like setting yourself up to have comfort later on, you know. But like at the same time, I would be out there, and you couldn't tell you were in a desert. Like there were so many structures and houses, and they were all on top of each other's, and there's pavement, and I don't know. Like part of me is like, wow, they got nice things, and the other part of me was, this is disgusting. Like, why would I want to live so close to people? Like right on top of them. And they're paying, you know, top dollar for that. And for me, it's like, man, I'd like to live. I don't know, man. I in my mind, like, I am building a plan. I do have a plan, which I'm going to ask you about if you're a plan. But I see like a big house with like a giant courtyard in the middle of it, and lots of plants, like greenery. And what's a trip is, and I will have built it, you know, I will have built the whole giant place that I just suddenly planned to make. And I don't know, like that is my peaceful thing. Like, I want to relax in the desert in my old age and just chill. You know, be in an oasis in the middle of the desert, but still have the recluseness of the desert, the depth of the desert, the beauty of the desert inside, within reach. Because I'm kind of a nature guy.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if, you know, those people that live in those communities, if they're nature guys too, like maybe they think like, oh, well, I'll drive out of this and go do something, you know? So what about you? Like, what do you have a plan? Are you playing it by ear? What do you think?
Yeah. Man, so last week, I fell pretty hard on me. But I always fall, and I kind of made a joke about, like, someday not being able to get up, you know. I've fallen too many times, and, you know, my body's like, no more, you know. So, no, I don't want it to be all planned out, but then I also know that there needs to be some type of idea. Yeah, I hope hopefully my younger family will take care of me if I, you know, go senile or something. I mean, I'm not seriously though. I mean, I'm hoping my family will take care of me if I come to a point where I can't take care of myself. But as far as like a home, yeah, I think feels like I'm building on that, where, you know, a solid place where I'm, you know, living by myself and, you know, having, you know, pretty much everything I need to. Because getting old, you can't, I mean, or going to that point where you're I also relate it to work where, I mean, we say retirement or like that retirement age, like that kind of reminds me of getting old. But I mean, ideally, you know, I wouldn't want to stop working. I mean, just because, I don't know, that's kind of a part of, like, why I like living is, you know, doing things. So if I can even get to a point where I feel like I'm not working, but I'm just doing things, I don't know, I think that'd be awesome. But it seems like getting old is also like, maybe like telling yourself you're old versus someone seeing you and saying, oh, that person's old. I mean, yeah, I think there's a point where it's like self-realization where it's like, oh, damn, I am not that young. Youngness anymore, you know.
Yeah.
Overnight, you know. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, like I said, like, I mean, my nieces want to still, you know, hang out with me, and
yeah,
hopefully, you know, I'll coach as long as I can coach.
Mm.
So I mean, it feels like I have, like, I'm more worried about not being able to go places because, you know, I'm reached that point.
Interesting.
But like I said, like when I fell and made that joke, it was just sort of like the elephant in the room, you know, of life and what happens, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm trying to figure that out right now. But
how important do you think money is to all that?
Man, that's a very heavy question because, I mean, everyone has a dream, like you say, and we all are trying to create those things, and some of those things cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
and maybe that's why not everybody gets certain things, or you figure out a way if money is what it is. But yeah, that's a kind of loaded question because it's like you can have no money and have meaning, but then having some will always be helpful. So it's just like scholarships, you know, like you figure out, I mean, you take out loans, whatever, but like if you have scholarships or like people giving you money, you know, you kind of gotta like make sure you're securing that money so that it's coming in and you're able to live versus worry about money. I mean, I think that question is just kind of like what it is we have to decide is money important or not important, and how that affects the life, like the business, in the business world where you know, we can spend money. So, man, if I had $1 million, like, you would wonder how my answer would be different, you know? I've never.
Interesting.
I mean, I guess the quality of life when you're a millionaire versus if you're broke, like, because of reality and society, we kind of judge, but like, realistically, when it's just you by yourself, like, do you really need all that money to feel the same joy? Or is one joy more, I don't know, something like that. Like, like it's important, but it's like, why is it important? Then I think everyone's answer might be different.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're onto something. Earlier you mentioned having no money but having meaning. How much importance do you put on having meaning in life? Because I'm wondering if, from your point of view, is maybe having meaning in your life a big part of who you are, or like maybe that's your goal in life. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Will you have meaning at the end? You know?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think to have, not an end result, but and maybe that's what it is like knowing you're old, but kind of accepting what you've done prior to being old, or, you know, I think it's more realizing you're old, but still, you know, able to get the job done. Is maybe what I'm focused on. Still being able to, you know, be out and about. But like meaning that too, I mean, I think, yeah, like without that goal or without sort of a kind of a dream, you're not really focused on that. You might be focused on a lot of other things that maybe might drive you crazy, maybe might not be that important.
Yeah.
Maybe it might be what you don't really think it is. Like, the expectations aren't that great, so but I don't know, like, too, it's not, because when you're describing this place, it's like the good times just keep on going, you know. Like, in my head, I'm thinking, like there's no down part, it's just lit all day, and that's not how it is. And when you're, you know, after something, so like having a purpose, but still being able to like get knocked off or be given like a lot of like not challenges, but more like persuade in other ways to where, you know, you're misled, or I don't know, not chasing what's going to fulfill you. But I think money can kind of blur all of that, because it does feel good to get paid, you know, when you're working. I mean, yeah, it was like I felt a little better if there's money in my pocket versus no money in there, and so it's, I don't know, it's like getting old is sort of admitting you're at that point in the race.
Interesting.
And where you're at is, but before, because I was like thinking you were gonna go a different direction.
What was that?
But, I don't know. I mean, just because I remember you did another topic similar with the electrify your mind, where you were talking about like how you perceive things as a child, versus now.
Yeah.
You reach adulthood and now you see it totally differently. Or your expectations are, just everything's mixed around.
Yeah.
And so that's where I thought you were going to go. But then I thought of the story, the Oedipus story. I don't know if you ever heard that or remember it.
No, well, I know of an Oedipus complex.
Yeah. Well,
but why don't you go over it? Like, give us the details here.
Well, we don't need to go deep into it, but there's a point where Oedipus is like going up against a Sphinx who's like has this town like on lockdown, and like anybody that tries to come through, he just kills them. And so he meets with the town, and they say like, hey, if you can meet the Sphinx and solve the riddle, we'll let you be the king here.
Uh-huh.
And Oedipus has already left, thinking he's going to be doing something. He left he's just kind of wandering. And so he's like, yeah, hell yeah, I'll try it. So he goes against the Sphinx, and the reason why I'm bringing it up is because of the riddle. So in order for the town to be free, he has to solve the riddle.
Uh-huh.
And the riddle that the Sphinx gives is like, what creature walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon, and 3 legs at dawn or in the evening? And she says, like, they're faster when they're on less. And Oedipus solves the riddle, and it's a human being. Because in the beginning you're crawling, and then at the afternoon you're walking. You learn how to walk. You can get around now, but then you're using a cane or you're some type of support because you've reached that point. Maybe an elder. Maybe that's the term we're not using.
Yeah. Not just old, but you're an elder. I like the sound of that. Yeah.
So that point, I was thinking of like what goes on when you're using 3 legs when you have a cane, because you need that. You're not as fast as you used to be.
Yeah.
That was where I was thinking you were gonna. I mean, that's what I was like, man.
Well, we can talk about that. Like, I've been thinking a lot about that myself lately. Like a while back, I was riding my bike like every single day to work, and it was about 3 miles there and 3 miles back. And I did that, 5 days a week. And in the beginning, I would be sucking air and going slow and sweating and having a lot of trouble going over these. They're small hills, but they kind of drag on. Like they got the long incline, and I'd burn out. And then towards the end, I was freaking flying. I'd see that hill, and I'd just start pumping. Like, here we go, and I'd just go right over it. No issue. I even did it without holding onto the bars once. I went handless and went up this hill and went up and over. And now, like, I stopped riding the bike. I started riding the bus. I think I had basically broke the bike. Like, I had worn the tires down and wore out all the teeth on the gears, so the chain kept slipping as I was riding it. And it got to the point where I couldn't ride it, so I just started riding the bus again. And now I've gained all this weight, and I have no wind. And I was playing out in the field with my kids, my son, and my 2 stepkids and my baby's mom. And we were just kicking a ball around. We didn't have any like proper, play out in the yard type tools, but we had a bouncy ball, like a big one, like one of those rubber ones that are kind of almost like a dodgeball. But we're kicking it around, and I'm running, and like I'm sucking wind, and I'm like I could feel how chubby I was, like it was counterbalancing me as I was running, and I was breathing, I was sucking wind, and I was like, man, I'm heavy, like I'm heavy, and I have no wind. And I was getting winded. I was getting winded really easy, and I was like, wow, like it's making me want to, like, now that I got all this free time, I need to like work out. Get my body in some sort of shape where I'm healthier. And, now that we're talking about getting older, like, man, health really becomes a difference between whether you're living well or living, this horrible older age. Like, are you still going to be mobile? Are you still going to be able to breathe? Are you still going to be able to remember your name? There's all these concerns that will come up later, and like I have kind of, let's not say accepted, but I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, I might die early. I eat like garbage. Like I just eat, and it's usually not just like a hunger thing. I'm eating because like, man, I'm craving. I'm either craving McDonald's or fucking Wiener Schnitzel, or I want some sandwiches from. I don't know,
sandwiches from somewhere.
Yeah, just like, man, I'm craving that. Like, I want to eat that. And, like, man, like, I'm either going to die early from some crazy heart attack, or I'm going to live old and just have gout. Like, freaking calcium deposits on my bones where it hurts to walk. And I'll just be like, man, all that food I ate. They call it quality of life.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of a medical term, but really it's a point, it's an idea, like how well do you want to live?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a realistic concept.
Yeah.
But really asking someone seriously, like, what do you want out of your life?
Yeah.
Damn.
I think a part of why I'm moving has to do with that meaning that we were talking about. Like, I just kind of took a look at my life. I don't know if I said it on the podcast or not, but I had like a heart pain that came out of nowhere a couple months ago. It scared me to the point where I was like, wow, like I wasn't having like, trouble breathing or pressure on my arm or anything like that, but it was like this deep pain that came out of nowhere, like, ooh. And it freaked me out. Like, I didn't go to work that night. I was like, fuck, like, what if I just die walking to the bus? Like, I'm gonna get fucked up here. And so at that point, I was like, fuck, if I die now, am I going to be happy with what I'm doing? And the answer was a quick, resounding no. Like, I was just renting an apartment and going to work and, having my boy around my job. You know what I mean? Like, if I had to work, I couldn't keep him overnight. So then I made sure that the company would give me weekends off so I could get my boy every weekend. And that was great. It worked, but it wasn't enough, or at least not when life is on the line.
Yeah.
It opened my eyes to like, man, what am I doing? I'm renting at a house I'll never own. I say this a lot. I'm renting a house that I'll never own. And I'm sitting there, just going to work, every hour that I had during the week, because of this weird shift I was doing, it wasn't like, every day you go to work. It was like I get off in the morning and know I'm coming back at night. So it like spanned 2 days. So even when I was off during the day, I was watching the clock. Like, how much time do I have to do this? Because I gotta go to work. And so there was kind of like this unease all day, every day. And even on the weekend, I'm like, fuck, I gotta go back to work on Sunday. Like, I gotta have as much fun as I can on the weekend before I have to go back to work, you know?
Yeah.
And every Sunday, I was like, man, I don't want to go back to work right now. I was just starting to enjoy the desert. Like, I was just starting to enjoy my weekend. Me and my boy were just starting to have some fun. And so getting that eye-opening, chest pain, I was like, I don't think I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And so there you go. I moved the cheese, man. I've taken a large step and diving head first, I've given it a lot of thought. I always do. Anytime I make a move on anything, I give it a lot of thought.
Yeah.
Maybe even overthink it.
Yeah. I know, but hearing you say that, working those weird hours for such a long time, it's like no one. You probably only the people that work that job can probably relate to your hours, but man, at least you're free of that now.
Yeah.
You have this time to figure out all this other stuff because it's not like you got to be the healthiest, but kind of.
I'd like to be healthier.
Yeah, so that's what you have time for.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have time to do a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, pretty much the things that you kind of get to do in those weird hours.
Yeah.
Kind of really.
It was like being paranoid. Like looking over my shoulder, and I wasn't looking for a murderer. I was looking for my job. Like I had to keep an eye out for it.
Yeah.
And then, like I was gonna say, the other night I freaking woke up in the middle of the night, and I was panicked. I was like, oh crap, I slept in. I need to be at work. Like, oh shit. Like, fuck. And I started fumbling around. Like, where's my phone? What time is it? What time is it?
Oh, man.
Oh, and I got all tense. My son was laying next to me, and I was just like, and I started getting ready. I started to get up, and then I just told myself, I was like, that shit's over, man. Go back to bed. And I just went, fuck. And I just laid my head down and went back to sleep, and it was fucking beautiful. It was like, I slept good. But it was like...
Now it's that moment of stress.
Yeah. It was another eye-opener. It was like, wow, that's what I do because I had that job. That was a regular feeling to be nervous and anxious about having to go back to work. And like, I'm still uneasy now. I don't have another job lined up, and I do still have bills. I still have to send money to my baby's mom, my lady, take care of her, take care of the kids. And it's in the back of my mind. It's like I still got to figure out a way to get some regular income. And it's like I don't want to get another job and just be back into that kind of routine. I either want to get a really meaningful job that I actually give a shit about, or do what I love and get paid for it. And I'm thinking carpentry work will be what it is. Like, I love working with tools. I love working with my hands, and I love designing and building stuff.
You have all that equipment, right?
Oh yeah. So I don't know. That's where my head's at. And seeing those guys last night, they were fun. I was having a good time. Dude had a bar on his back porch. And we were just chilling at the bar on his back porch. And it was laid back, but it was like, man, these guys this was their goal. Was this place. And they have it. And they have it a lot earlier than I think most people get that. And the thing is, it's not what I want. I want to be out in the desert. I want to have some privacy, have some land, my own little slice of heaven and work on it.
Yeah.
So that's what I just kept thinking. Like, man, these guys are young old guys. I think most of them were still working. I think they're all still working. I think, but it was like, when they come home, this is what they do. They party. They hang out in their house and maybe go play golf. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. He had like an artificial lake there that they stocked with, I don't know, carp and bass. I doubt they were bass, but fish. So whenever he wanted, he could go fishing. I was like,
did it seem artificial?
Well, there's no real lakes up here, like almost.
No, the place.
Oh. It was like a suburb, and suburbs just don't seem real to me. Like it's like HOAs, man, homeowners associations. Places like that definitely have that, and what it is they go around telling people what to do with their house. Like, hey, this tree's too tall, cut that down. Hey, you need to get at these weeds in your yard. Like, that makes a little sense, but it's like, they're like, hey, you can't do that. And I don't like that. That's, I don't know, artificial is kind of a loaded idea. Like, yeah, I guess so. It seemed a little like fake. Like just being on top of each other's and like, trying to one up each other. Like, oh, I got this, I got that. Like, check out the new toy, check it out. And I don't know. It just got me thinking, like, what do I want? And can I get it while I'm still young? So that's kind of what started all this.
Yeah.
Growing old. Like, how am I going to grow old? What's growing old for me? And I like what you're saying about, like, how young you feel at heart. Because I kind of believe that. Like, if you're still enjoy yourself and, if you can still laugh, you're still, relatively happy, I kind of see that as a good life. Something to go after. Relative happiness. I don't think, laughing my ass off every day is a good thing. But, yeah, get a good laugh. Live a good life. And whatever it is, whether it's a gated community in your mind or a golf course or, living in the Ville, doing that res thing. What do you think? Like, why don't you paint a picture for us of what your ideal, I don't know, life is, or your ideal retirement age maybe, and what you would do with that? Think about it and get back to me. Come on, what do you think?
I think it'll be pretty cool to have horses.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that was always something where, like they say, well, I don't mean no offense to nothing, but if you have a horse, you can't go nowhere. You have to be there with the horses.
Gotta take care of the horses.
And being older, I don't mind that concept. But I mean, it's not like you can't leave home, but I think it's more symbolic where it's like, if you go somewhere, make sure someone's there to be responsible for them, but that's your responsibility, so you're going to be there most of the time to do what you got to do to keep them healthy. So I always feel like that's too much responsibility to put on myself right now. How I'm living currently, like I don't have time to take care of horses. But if we're talking about like getting old, like now, I wouldn't mind some horses to take care of.
That's cool.
I mean, that's I think as simple as I can put it.
Huh. Yeah, I think I'd like a couple of goats and maybe some chickens.
Like some goat soap and...
Goat soap?
Yeah, you can make all kinds of stuff with goat stuff.
Goat stuff.
I mean, I don't know if they use it. I know, the milk. I think it's the milk. They make like soap and lotion and, you know. Okay. I don't know. I think we're on to something.
Yeah. We're painting a picture here.
And then even too, like, having a family business where, I don't know, thinking this way, I'm like, well, why can't I do that now? Like, I mean, but, yeah, anything's possible, but I think it's the sacrifices and what you're willing to do to have those and live that kind of way. So this space of like being older or knowing that you've reached this point where you can live this way. You know, remember watch that movie Richie Rich?
Uh-huh.
The Macaulay Culkin?
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan.
He's all rich and he has like McDonald's in his house and a bowling.
Yeah.
Like, that seems cool. Like, I don't know, like, are we thinking, cause, like, I guess there's this point of you where you want things, and then now you're at this point where you gotta be real specific about what you want. And maybe you don't need a underground bowling alley. So, I don't know, man, it's sort of, you just kind of gave me a lot of things to think on.
Huh. Good. Good, that's the point here.
Yeah.
I was thinking a shooting range would be cool too.
Well, I mean, I am going to, I'm saying this now, I'm going to build a gym. We're going to build a gym.
What? Where?
Somewhere in the nation where we can get land, I think.
Who?
Edge.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, we need it. We need our own facility.
Wow.
We've been needing it, but
that's badass.
That costs a lot of money.
You should have the kids do some food sales or something.
It's going to be a real expensive gym.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, I'm just saying.
Every week, yeah, it's crazy because you say that like man, that's true, but then that's a lot of work too. But then we're like playing basketball. So it's like, I know that gym is in the future.
When you say gym, do you mean like a workout, like a weight room and then a gymnasium? Like an open, giant basketball court, indoor basketball court type deal?
I think, we're really talking about it. I think it would be like a big old facility.
Like the rec center?
No, way bigger than, I mean, again, we're talking about in this space where we have like limited money because we've we're millionaires and I can spend all the money I want. Like, yeah, I would like it to be way bigger than that.
Do your kids pay to play?
I mean, they chip in for like entry fees, but like,
oh, cool.
It's not like they gotta pay to be on the team.
That's cool, man. That's real cool.
Yeah.
So that kind of figures into your picture then, isn't it?
Yeah.
This facilities?
I don't want to, now it's like being old is like, damn.
You know, I bet if you, getting old, man, it's a time limit. It's a time limit to do that. I'm thinking the nation might have some sort of, probably not a grant, but like a business loan to go out and do something like that. I'm thinking $1 million or a couple $100,000. You think to build a facility?
I mean, I never looked into how much it'll actually, what a facility costs to build, but like,
look it up. Like make it real. Like start and figure out a price. Say, all right, in my dream of dreams, if you add all this up, if I bought for it, what would it cost? See if you can put a price on it, like a serious price.
Yeah.
In today's market, as they say.
In the millions.
Yeah, well, that tends to be a way to set off on your goals. Like when you know physically how much it'll cost. And by physically, I mean once you have everything you need and you pay for it. Like once you know the price, then you can go, kind of, I don't know, wear it out the house, like you wrap your mind around it and say, all right, is that affordable or not? Is it possible? And that is like a first step to starting yourself on that journey, making it real, putting it on paper, doing something that, setting a goal. It changes when it leaves your brain to something in the physical world, and an estimate just might start you on your path. I was thinking about it, and like there's been a few times some like steel structure engineers came out to the village because we were looking to do like a new feast house, and they came out and gave us offers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe that's a good place to start, is how big is this facility in your brain and how much will that cost? And then you can go down the road and start going, all right, well, if we're going to have a weight room, how much is that going to cost? And then how much are for the bleachers? Or I don't know what's in this facility of yours. It's pretty big in my mind.
Yeah.
And expensive.
You seen the U of A one? Like, you know how they have, like, the running, like, people are running around on the top. There's, like, a track on the top floor.
Oh, yeah.
And the U of A, that's a nice facility. I mean,
it really is.
That's like...
Is that about the size you're thinking? That's the rec center, right?
Yeah, the rec center. I mean, it's... They got
an outdoor field. A couple of them, I think.
It's a cool place.
There's volleyball courts, tennis courts, basketball courts.
They got a pool.
A soccer field, an Olympic pool. A giant freaking weight room.
That's pretty awesome if we had a pool.
Right?
Yeah.
No, what else? And then they got the freaking giant basketball courts that can be sectioned off with a freaking second floor track going around the whole thing. Huge.
That's tight.
It is tight. It's been a while since I've been over there.
When was the last time you were there?
Shit. Many moons. I want to say 2014, 2015. Do you even have to be a student to go check that shit out?
I don't know.
You got to be like at least a member.
Yeah. I mean, they check you at the door. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you have a cat card. Huh. I really don't know how that works.
Interesting.
But I paid to go in this.
Wow. It's busy too. There's a lot of people over there.
Now they rent out the places. So that's how they can make money that way too. So
well, that might be how you pay it back. You can rent your facility out or different sections of it for a price.
Yeah.
I can see this thing in like maybe Tapao or just somewhere deep desert, but kind of central, so all your students, all your kids can come and play, all your teammates. Interesting.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No. Well, I mean, it's a lot, but I mean, I'm glad that you see it.
Yeah. It's a lofty goal, man. I like it. I hope you guys get it. When you first brought it up, I thought you meant your family. Like, hey, when you said we, I was thinking like, all right, these guys are going to get together and build a weight room outside their house. Like, I want to be over there all the time, watching other people work out.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it'll be cool to have like a food court, you know.
Damn, food court too?
I mean, just like a place where people could sell things.
Oh, cool.
I think that would be pretty cool.
You know, in the gymnasium at the high school, and they got like that roll up window thing with a counter, and there's like a kitchen in there. That's fucking cool. I think I think the rec center has that too.
Like the little concession stand.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I am. Kind
of cool.
I mean, thinking about this, it always reminds me of like, and the Kienta, the Navajo Res Kienta, or the town Kienta, they got a movie theater. I've never been there. I always want to go, but it's like a really small theater, but it's not on the res, and you know they show movies. So
yeah, I was thinking about that a while back about how cool it would be to have something to do here on the res, like a bowling alley or a freaking movie theater, something like an arcade.
Yeah.
Something for people to go to and have a little fun and not have to go to Tucson or wherever the hell you guys go. You know what I mean? Like something entertaining.
Yeah, somewhere here
on
the ocean versus going to another city.
Yeah.
Or
leaving home.
Yeah.
Very cool. I think we should start this sort of thing.
Let's do it.
I was thinking about making a go-kart track on my land.
Yeah?
Yeah, like something to charge the kiddies and come play in, and I'll just build go-karts.
You ever built one?
No, but I know I could do it.
It's not that hard?
Yeah, I actually looked it up on like YouTube, and I could do it. I could do it for sure.
Have you seen those bikes that, like, you can hook up a little motor to, and then suddenly you have, like, a little
motorcycle? Yeah.
Yeah. Can you do that?
Yeah, I could do that. Easy.
That'd be tight.
Interesting.
Yeah. This is, I think I just got scared of it getting apart.
Don't be scared, Sky. Yeah, I think you're going to be all right, man. I think you got a good head on your shoulders. I think you're going places, my man. And to hear you have such a lofty goal, I like that. Sounds good. I hope you get it, and I want to help you get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be something to help, put my energy into, is something for the community. Something, something big.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm looking for when I go down there. I want to do something important.
Yeah.
Something for our people, something, I don't know yet. I tend to visualize everything I do, and if I can't visualize it, it doesn't, I don't do it. I don't make a plan for it if I can't see it. So whenever I start thinking about some new concept, I just start trying to visualize it first. And I can't see what I'm going to do yet in my head. I know I'm going out there, and I got plans to make money and, do my thing, but at the same time, it's man, I can't visualize it yet. I don't know yet. Certain aspects of it, I can visualize it already. Cooking and selling food, and maybe building benches or tables and furniture, outdoor furniture, and selling it.
Yeah.
And that's for me. That would be fun. But on top of that, I want to contribute to the community somehow. I don't know how yet. I haven't figured it out.
Do you ever go to your meetings?
What meeting?
Your community meetings?
Yeah.
I mean, they're always too early. I really shouldn't be complaining because they've been Zoom. And I just choose not to go.
Yeah.
Kind of admitting that I'm this, I'm damn.
You just put yourself on blast, dude.
But those things are important, and I think I put some of those things to the side.
Yeah.
When it can be a good resource, or someone realistically telling you how it's going to go, or if it can go. I don't know. That's one way that you just kind of just dive right in. But they always say that, what is it? Think globally, act locally, or
yeah, it's something like that.
Well, I don't know if this applies, but it's just
think globally, act globally.
I don't know, man. I maybe need to go on a trip, like a wilderness trip.
No, I'm feeling that.
What's up?
I'm feeling that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This one time, we were planning to go to Zimbabwe. Well, I wasn't planning. Someone else was planning. They asked me if I wanted to come, and I thought it was going to be more of a friendly. It was friendly, but it was also very serious. Because somebody had requested that we meet as a community and really bond, and that also meant sharing what's going on inside.
Yeah.
And it was a time when I had just finished school and I was becoming that chapter was done, and I was first thing I had to I don't know, maybe you can babysit some kids. But anyways, back to the story. We had to share in a circle, like, everything that was going on inside of us. And I hadn't had that discussion yet, so for me to let it all out, it was like, oh man, like what's gonna happen? You know, what's going on? But it was like I needed to go, but it's like I didn't realize that I was gonna go to do that. Maybe I was kind of avoiding it. But we did actually get to go to Babel. We climbed it that morning. And what was so crazy was we made it almost near to the top. But it was good enough to where we were like, now let's head back. Yeah. And it's like 6 hours, like a 6-hour walk, the trail we used. And coming down, I was just guzzling water, like just guzzling it. Like I thought that was gonna keep me fine. Like I was so dumb because I was like, never realized you can get like sick from drinking too much water. Mm-hmm. And I was just guzzling it, thinking like, I'm gonna stay hydrated. I'm not gonna get burned out. You know, I'm gonna stay sipping water. So I was just pounding them. Uh-huh. And, you know, coming down, you know, it's those points where you're downhill and you're just running, and, you know, I just was just trying to just kick the trail's ass, and it kicked my ass because, nice. You know, I don't know, my stomach was not acting right, and I pulled over to the side, and I was throwing up all that water, throwing up whatever I was eating. You know, it just kept going and going. And, you know, one of the elder men, Ernie, he came and cooled me down, and then just sort of said, man, you drink too much water. I was sick. Well, I was almost there. Like, I almost made it all the way back down, but, like, my body didn't make it. It was just, like, I had to lay down and just be in that state of, like, not miserable, but just, am I going to be okay?
Interesting.
And, yeah, I mean, but I think that was an unconscious decision to go on the trip. But in my mind, I thought it was going to be an easy breezy, kind of fun thing. Which, you know, I did have fun, and I did have those times, but it was also those serious realizations and, you know, actual things you're kind of sharing. But I mean, I learned a lot from that trail, that trip. Other than besides drinking too much water, but I mean, yeah, I think you need something like that to clear up any kind of things that need to be cleared up, if there are any. But just kind of thinking what you're saying reminds me of. I mean, I think I'm still like figuring that out now. Even though I'm doing things I know I'm supposed to be doing. So I think that feeling of what am I going to do? That's still.
Yeah.
I think that's still a valid question, and not something to be like discouraged about, but just kind of more like oh, this is a part of it, you know? Yeah.
Interesting. Good stuff. Yeah, a while back, like another thing about growing older, I've never been to the peak at Baba. I've only ever gone up to the cave. I think we tried to start late once on the peak trip, and it was like we got way out there and still didn't, arrive anywhere. So it was like, fuck this, let's go back. Like, it was already getting dark, and we're like, all right, well, screw this. So we went back to camp. But yeah, like, at what point am I not going to be able to make that trip? So that's kind of like one of the things I want to do that.
Yeah. Well, I think you're on something, huh?
I think I am too. I think I don't know. I think this was the right decision to make. Moving out there. I think it'd be really cool when me and you, like, I gotta focus on building a house, but I think I'm also, in the short term, gonna build us a studio. So, like, you can just roll up and we'll sit across from each other's. And I think I figured out how to configure the system. Like, I've been trying to visualize that, and I think it would be cool for us to just have some, decorations up that kind of represent us, and at the same time, have a pretty sweet system hookup.
Yeah.
And when we have guests, it can either be just, it'll be me and you live in person, and we'll either talk on the phone or we'll invite people over to the studio. And hell, like, once there is a studio, I could probably rent that out or just, have the fellas come over and we can do other stuff, like not just the podcast, but we can record.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So I've been trying to, like, think of the size. Like, how can I make it easy to build, but still affordable and still have enough room where we can sit down and relax.
Some like tables outside. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Maybe some couches.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, maybe I'll just focus on building my house and we'll use it as a studio from time to time. To begin with, That way, I'm building a big structure, but it'll be what I live in. But at the same time, maybe I can corner off like something that we could use as a studio, like make a room, build a room in there, and then we can work in there. That's just dedicated to a studio, like dedicated to the podcast, dedicated to music, something like that.
This is our record label, man.
Hell yeah. Hey, there you go. It's doable, man. I think we're on to something here.
Yeah, I mean, different people want to record, and
yeah,
we could be legit. Yeah, I don't know. Cofield Records or
something.
Down South Records.
There you go. Village Records.
So, are we still talking about getting old, or?
I think it's all included here. We're talking about goals.
It's crazy how it is.
Yeah.
Oh.
How is it?
I mean, because the goal is to be preparing for the future.
Yeah.
And getting older is almost on a whole nother level, but yet you could be planning for it when, you're a kid.
Yeah.
And actually make it happen.
Yeah.
And sometimes even before you realize you're old. And try not to feel like you're old. I think that's the real part. Cause
me sucking wind at that part was old. I was feeling old when I did that. Like the kids, they're all young and full of vitality, and they're running around and screaming, and I'm just like, yeah, you get the ball. You get the ball. I'm going to sit this one out. You get the ball. You get the ball. Sorry, I just took over what you were saying, dude.
No, you can't. I can't.
You were talking about...
Can't do that. I mean, you got to be on your game.
Yeah.
With the kids,
and feeling
running
old.
around, you got to be able to run with them.
Yeah, and you were mentioning, like, getting older before you realize it.
Oh. Will I say that? Yeah, because I think it's your mindset. Like, even though, you're getting old, it doesn't mean you got to feel like your oldness is limiting you versus, I don't know, already like almost, I can't do that no more because I'm old, or maybe there's a job where you think a lot of young people should have that job, but yet you really need that job, so you'll do it because, you're capable of doing it. Doesn't mean you shouldn't just say, I'm too old for that, I'm getting too old for this.
Getting too old.
I don't know. I mean, I've been watching this guy on TikTok, and he's like pretty brutally honest with people, and some of the things he points out are like harsh, but then I can see where he's making sense.
Yeah.
And a lot of times too, like if you're deep in that, you always call it the matrix, but and you're deep in the matrix where you're concerned about your fashion, or you're concerned about what size you wear, or you're concerned about if you have the current new joints, like sometimes you're kind of living in that space to where you think you gotta have these things, and if you don't have them by this age, damn, you're like, but I guess I get not conflicted by the material world, but I still want material things, but yet how do I not feel like, not like a sellout, but more like I spent a lot of money to have this, and it's really not that important.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess, I don't know, be happy with who you are versus any outside judgment of where you should be at, or how you should be, because those judgments are always going to be there, but how you feel about yourself is important, so it's kind of you sort of got to build yourself up. You sort of got to have that big dream that you're chasing, because back to moving the cheese is now you want this big ass chunk of cheese that wasn't available before. Or maybe that's a bad example, but I think I don't know. I think just not limiting yourself because of how someone else sees age.
Yeah.
Because I think too in some circles or in some realms, like you might not imagine that, like you're out of your element. And I'm speaking very generally because I'm pretty sure there are some elders that can skateboard, but like you think of a grandma skateboarding, and you're like, why is she on that skateboard? You know, so there's sort of like, I think there's these things in our mind where, hey, you can't do that because you're this, you're old, or, you know what I mean? I think sometimes those things are in our head to where we might limit ourselves.
Yeah. I think social norms is kind of what makes us feel good or bad about ourselves. Like at a certain age, you got to be doing this. Like retirement age, you got to be doing this. Like
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Those two.
Yeah, like from the outside looking in, what I'm doing has put people in an alarmed state when I tell them what I'm doing. They're like, what? Why? You have another job? What are you going to do next? What's the next job? I'm like, nope, I don't have a job, and I really don't want one. I'm trying to go home, help my parents, and at the same time do what I love. Like, do something that makes a little more sense to me. And, like, a lot of people can't handle it. Like, they're like, what? No, what? You should have a job. Like, what? Like, no. That's not normal. The norm, you know, like it's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit into.
I guess it's like the box.
Yeah.
That's outside of the box.
Yeah. It doesn't fit into anybody's. Like everybody has a picture in their mind of what normal is, what you're supposed to be doing at a certain age, and it's socially acceptable to just, you know, put your nose to the grinding stone and keep working. I was telling my cousin the other day, we were at a family gathering, and I told her I was leaving, and she's like, what are you going to do next? What's your next job? And I told her, I'd try not to have a job. And she looked at me like, hey, nobody likes working, but you do it. You know, and I was like, yeah. Because there was a group of us, like, everybody was listening. And, you know, they were all kind of laughing, like, yeah, you dummy, you need a job. And I was sitting there like, I don't want it. And I could understand why she couldn't get it. Because on the outside looking in, it's like, oh, this guy's making this brash, out of the blue life decision. And like I said, man, everything I do, I visualize and think about and question myself whether I'm doing the right thing. I've given a lot of thought into this, and yeah, the move is out of the blue, because out of the blue I had this weird fucking heart thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it seems out of the blue, but I've given it a lot of thought. And just thinking about it makes me feel better. Just, you know, being able to lay back down like the other night when I woke up and I was panicked. Being able to just go, I don't have to go to work right now. That's behind me. And I relaxed and felt good. And I was like, all right. I went back to bed. It was like, if that wasn't like a confirmation of what I'm doing here, I don't know what else would be.
Yeah.
It's like the relief I felt was surprising. And it was like panic. There was panic, man. There was panic and stress. And it just came over me, and it was all because it's like, oh, I gotta get to work. I'm not there on time. Like, oh, I'm worried about it. Like, oh, I'm stressed out. Where's my phone? Where's my phone? So, do you have any final words to throw down on this? Like now that we've discussed it, do you have a new idea of what you want to do, or about growing older? Do you have any like a new concept in your mind now? What do you think?
I mean, I guess preparing is always best. But then some things you can't prepare for, too.
Yeah.
It's like kind of like a fine line of, I don't want to say winging it, but, you know, you're kind of got to be open to things. And the box we put ourselves in. Have to be like following these ideals of what's normal, like you're saying. So, getting out of that box and then reflecting on yourself and realistically, what is it going to take to get those things that you want?
Yeah.
And I think what we said is health is kind of like one of the key factors. So, but for me, I mean, I think that, like, taking health seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not the poster child for being healthy. I always say I'm the bad example of don't do what I do. But
badass.
But it's a realistic concept, like we said, the quality of life.
Yeah.
What is that for you, and are you willing to take the precautions and steps to achieve those things? And maybe that's the tricky part, is accepting that, but then also having to have a bigger goal in mind to be willing to, well, I'll manage all those and still go after the cheese, you know, the thing we want.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, having a map to that, but also knowing that there's no map. You're kind of creating it on the fly, like Meg said, you know.
There's a bit of fear in this. I can't lie about that. I'm a little bit fearful.
Yeah. But what is fear?
Well, it's like I was saying earlier. It's kind of like a mechanism of trying to fit back in that box. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're not doing the right thing, and now you feel fear. You know, it's a learned response. I feel bad. I feel fearful if I'm not doing the right thing.
Yeah. But maybe that's the real thing.
Maybe not.
The real thing. Maybe separating what's the real thing versus like what is fear. I mean, fear is just made up in our head, you know, like we don't really need, like, it's there, but like until it's addressed, it's gonna stay there. So I think it's more about the finding out. And I mean, only a couple days in, so it's like, you know, in the story, you know, it's some anticipation. Let the string kind of unravel.
Yeah.
Because I think we've yet to hit that point where you're, like I said, man, it's just, not hearing you talk about, like, being all scared because you miss work, like, maybe that it did a number on you, and just kind of breaking out of that.
Yeah.
You'll see things a little bit more clear because what other things are kind of happening that you're like, oh man, I need to go clock in over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think enjoying that space where you're not in that, but that self-reflection, which I don't know anything about, so it's like everyone kind of has their own way of understanding that.
Interesting. Huh.
You should listen to Lauryn Hill Unplugged.
I think I will. It's a good recommendation. I'll probably do that tonight. But I'm gonna chill by the fire tonight.
She's spitting a lot of knowledge. For anybody else, check that out.
Yeah.
Lauryn Hill Unplugged. Yeah, she's. I might have stole some lines in that right now and proving what we're saying, because again, these are things that I did or I do. Like I think Lauryn Hill is like that album. It's like, damn, I need this music right now. Maybe you need to hear an album to just.
Yeah. Well, I think music is part of what keeps you sane. It's like this release. It's a serotonin releaser, activator, whatever. I think some key things to take from this is, like you said, there might be a time where you're old and you don't know it, that there's a time limit on what we do, what we can get, what we can accomplish. And again, move your cheese. Examine the box you're in that you actually probably put yourself in. And I'm not just talking to you, I'm talking to the listeners.
I
know. Examine the box that you probably created for yourself. And ask yourself, why did I do certain things here? Why do I do these things? Why did I make this box for myself? And is it really important enough to spend your time and life and energy and put it into that? I think it comes down to are you happy type situation. Like, are you happy with what you're doing? Like, is what you're doing important enough to spend your time on it? What do you decorate your box with? What kind of box are you belonging in? Or do you think you belong in? And is there something you can do to improve your lot in life? Think about it. I think we got some good points out tonight. Like, this is, I've been thinking about it. This is what I'm doing. I think Sky's got big plans for himself and for the kids. And I think it's very important what you're doing, Sky. And, man, I think I'm reinvigorated with the idea that I'm on the right path.
Oh yeah.
That I'm touching on something that might be important to me and possibly others. And hell, listeners and Sky, think about that. Think about what you need to do. Cool. You want to hit that red button?
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Peace.